Everything is ready except the weather, and for 15 days adverse reports delay the firing of the first round. During this long wait, life continues as usual in the village. The Australian Army Catering Corps maintained a very high standard. Many considered this to be the best thing about the trial. The scientific mess catered at one time for a maximum of 350 people, but the standard was maintained despite these large numbers. The dining room operates on a self-service system. One recreation room contains a bar, fully patronized throughout the trial, and another provides facilities for games. 2 turbo generators provide power and light and operate the distillation plant, where only saline water is obtained from the local bores. This is the main office block in the village, where the administrative center for the range is located. A fully equipped hospital is able to deal with any sickness or emergency which might arise on the range. The post office at Maralinga serves as a link with home and the outside world. During the build-up phase, a public phone box was available for calls to any part of the world. The mail service was operated by the Australian Postmaster General. Letters from England took about a week to reach the site. Wear and tear on vehicles was a problem, particularly on the rough tracks of the fallout area. Even on the made-up roads, accidents did happen. This Austin Champ overturned off the main road and was severely damaged. This is a damaged Australian Holden utility. A completely equipped garage and maintenance section existed to issue fuel and to service vehicles. Work in this section continued day and night. Clutches and shock absorbers were one of the most common causes of trouble. 11 Mile Camp was established just off the main road north of Watson, in order to accommodate some 250 serving officers from the United Kingdom and Commonwealth countries. Known as the Indoctrinee Force, they will observe the flash, heat and blast effects of an atomic explosion. Intended to accommodate them for a period of a few days, this tented camp served as their quarters for about 6 weeks. During their time on the range, these officers gave invaluable assistance in the completion of the build-up phase. The bad weather and high winds continued, bringing dust storms to menace equipment. The meteorological group launched a weather balloon to track wind speeds and direction. Met services were provided by the Australians through the Commonwealth Bureau of Meteorology. There were about 8 weathermen in the group at Maralinga, and in addition to making their own observations, using radar, radio sonde and other modern equipment, the group received weather information from many parts of the Australian continent. On Wednesday, the 26th of September, it was announced that the meteorological forecast seemed favorable for firing the next day, the 27th. The forecasts of the 27th confirmed this, and in the target response area, final preparations were made to instruments and protective coverings removed from equipment. After so many postponements, firing was at last to take place. The 200 kilocycle cameras are ready to photograph the first 600 microseconds of the flash. The Indoctrinees move forward to their special position, some 5 miles from ground zero. F-24 cameras will take pictures, staggered at intervals of 3 seconds over a period of 5 minutes, giving 1 exposure every half second. The Canberra cloud sampling aircraft takes off. The firing sequence has commenced at forward control. The weapon is armed. All backs are turned.
this is control, over. You may pass the flash message, over. Roger, we will pass flash message, over and out. Receive, Mr. Bicecut. Attention all stations, this is control. You are reminded that there is a controlled post-firing program which must be rigidly adhered to. Those observers...
The first round was a device of nominal yield. The cloud rises to several thousand feet before being carried away.
When they then go to roadside car park for movement instruction by Mr. Reeville.
This Canberra aircraft has flown through the cloud to obtain samples of cloud-borne fission products. Special filters are removed from the aircraft. The samples will be analyzed by the Radiochemical Measurements Group. Personnel are briefed on routes and timings by health physics staff before entering into the fallout area. All movements in this area are regulated from health control. After dressing in protective clothing, all entrants are issued with personal dosimeters at this checkpoint. They then proceed to the yellow car park where vehicles are kept for use in the contaminated area. At the airstrip, a helicopter takes off for an aerial survey of the site of the burst. This is the scar on the desert made by the first explosion in the Buffalo series. These are some of the results of the explosion on target items. Dressed in protective clothing, an inspection party enter the target area. A surveyor monitors one of the articulated dummies which form part of the crew of one of the military targets. This is a heavily damaged Daimler Scout car at 1,800 feet from ground zero. The car was completely burnt out, probably as a result of a secondary fire. This vehicle was at the same distance and was blown 90 feet by the blast. Parts were scattered over a wide area. A Land Rover at 2,650 feet was driven away after being righted. Damage was very light. At 2,150 feet, this lorry suffered moderate damage to the bodywork, but was usable. These model men were scattered from their marked positions. This is the scale model Valiant aircraft on its stand. Centurion tanks were placed between 1,200 feet and 1,700 feet from ground zero. After the explosion, damage ranged from moderate at the closest site to light at the furthest. All the tanks were classified as usable. This is a general view of the target area showing some of the blast effects. This heavy girder bridge was at 2,700 feet and was moved 10 feet from its seatings. Major damage to the bridge was negligible. These steel frame buildings were at 2,000 feet and were completely destroyed. All the cladding was torn off and was scattered over a wide area. These buildings were at 4,600 feet and were heavily damaged. But most of the cladding remained attached to the frames. There were deflections of up to 5 feet in the columns. This gun was lightly damaged at about 2,000 feet, but was usable. Two 25-pounder guns were in the open at about 2,000 feet from ground zero. Moderate damage was caused to the sighting mechanisms of this one. The surface finish on this swift aircraft has been burnt off on the side facing ground zero. These aircraft were situated between 2,000 and 2,600 feet from ground zero, and although picketed down with concrete weights of more than a ton, this Swift moved 6 feet backwards. This wing target was exposed to investigate damage to the wing structure. Note that the trailing edge has been torn off. The blast tore this radar dome from its mounting. Dummies were exposed at distances of from 2,000 to 4,800 feet and were dressed in various types of British and Australian service clothing in order to assess the protection afforded from the heat flash by different types of fabric. Ordinary battle dress and tank crews oversuits gave good protection at all ranges. Khaki drill and flying suits were burned. These articulated dummies show the blast effects. A mobile health control caravan train is set up outside the fallout area by the Health Physics Group and gives complete personnel decontamination facilities. Completely mobile, it can be moved quickly should wind direction change. A member of a survey party returns from the yellow car park to the health control barrier, where dosimeters are handed to an attendant. He then proceeds to a caravan for undressing. After undressing, all personnel take hot shower baths and are then monitored. Facilities are provided for decontamination of small instruments and tools. These are monitored before being washed. Note that the direction of the scrubbing is away from the body of the operator. Respirators are drying after decontamination. A party of indoctrinees are returning from the contaminated area to the prototype field decontamination center set up by the indoctrinee force. This was about 200 yards from the main health control caravans. This Land Rover has returned from a trip into the blue area, part of the target area which received only very light contamination. The vehicle is monitored at the health control checkpoint before being allowed to pass through. As soon as possible after the explosion, members of the Target Response Explosives Group commenced to recover their specimens. Fortunately, this area was only lightly contaminated, and members of the group are able to work in the minimum of protective clothing. These scaffold supports were bent by the blast. Cleared areas are marked off with mine tape. This bagged charge was torn open, but cordite was not burnt. Various types of anti-tank and anti-personnel mines were buried. Some of the items were very difficult to find after the explosion and had to be uncovered. The radar aerial was severely damaged. Sections projecting beyond the sides were completely destroyed. This and other target items are recovered from the forward area. Many of the items are to be returned to the United Kingdom or to the Australian laboratories for more detailed examination than was possible at Maralinga. This jet engine is being crated for this purpose. Control specimens of the types of reinforced concrete slabs exposed to the explosion are subjected to static tests at the Structures Laboratory at Maralinga Village. The loading is applied slowly and evenly over the surface by a number of hydraulic jacks, and the deflection of the center of the slab is recorded. Construction work is now completed on the weapon assembly shed and the weapon pit for the ground burst at Marku site. This mechanical scraper is leveling soil in front of target items and pressure gauges which are lined up with ground zero. The main target items for this burst are concrete airfield runway pavements and equipment. These runway specimens are laid on carefully specified bases by the structures group. On Thursday, the 4th of October, cameras are realigned to Marcou's site. The weapon is fired at 16:30 hours. Photographs are taken for measurement and for press release. Round 2 was a device of lower yield than round 1 and was fired at ground level. A helicopter leaves to inspect the crater. Here are aerial views of the crater. A survey party moves up towards the crater and past the airstrip specimens. This is base control in Maralinga village. The base operations room is the focal point of information and the nerve center of the operation during the preparation and standby phases. At the commencement of the firing phase, staff report here before setting out for the forward area. Movements are checked against the planned timetable and are reported to forward control. During the firing phase, communication between the range and the outside world is made only through base control. It is Thursday, the 11th of October, and all is ready for the airdrop. This is the target marker for the drop. At 14:04 hours, the Valiant aircraft takes off, carrying the weapon. Valiant's approach to the target area and run up to the target is monitored by the RAF ground controller using radar and an EMI plotting table. This record was exposed to show the fireball and the effect of the shock wave on the grid of rocket trails. This is an aerial view of the Kite airburst site. There is nothing to be seen of the target marker. The drop was extremely accurate.